didn't work at all. Thanks for joining us on Probably Professionals, a podcast presented by kindofcoaches.com, which is a website that is live right now. Let's check it out.
Twitch.tv/kindofcoaches.
Sweet. What? Oh, yeah. So we're live. We're live streaming this podcast. We got any viewers yet, man? Am I famous yet?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. Probably should do that. Last week we got up to, I think, 3 concurrent viewers, which is more than I've ever had on Twitch.
And that one guy, like actually said things in chat.
He spoke in chat and everything. It was like being a real Twitch streamer. So it was pretty cool.
Anyway, my name is Blake. I am joined today, as ever, by our founder and head coach, Mr. Taylor Heath. We're also joined today by our good friend of way back in the day in college, a fellow pizza restaurant expert, Matt Barnes. What's up, man?
Hello, everybody.
Funny story. This is the first time we've talked to Matt Barnes on the phone or in person, but probably 10 years.
It's been 8. So wait,
at least. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 8.
I just rounded up to the nearest decade.
Fair enough.
So what's been going on, man? Tell us what you've been up to in the last 8 years. Well, first of all, let me. We used to go.
A lot of stuff.
We were all in college together, and so we were all in marching band because we were super cool. And so when I got to college, when me and Blake got to college, he was kind of there. He taught us a lot about being in college and being a college person, and so I asked him to come on the podcast and kind of tell us what he's been up to. And so today what we're going to do is he's going to teach us how to run a podcast live while we run a podcast.
Oh, is that what I'm doing?
It's going to be great because like, spoiler alert, we don't know how to run a podcast. So if we're going to get instructions from an audio engineer, as you can see, if you're watching this on Twitch or on YouTube, he's got a board behind him. So that means he's an audio engineer.
Not necessarily. The guy I bought this from wasn't.
Okay. Well, still, you have it set up and you have a really nice microphone in front of you.
Yeah,
so.
You look like you know what you're doing. Therefore, you know what you're doing.
I do a little bit.
Okay. So that's what's going on tonight. So now that is out of the way, Matt, you can tell us what you've been up to in these last 8 years. From start to finish, skip no details.
Skip no details? I mean, you got... How long is this podcast?
Yeah, we didn't really set a strict time limit, but...
I like that.
See, you have to teach us how long it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on your listeners.
We don't have
any.
It depends. I've listened to a 3-hour podcast before and loved every second of it and didn't want it to end. Also, I've listened to hour podcasts where I'm like, all right, I'm done. Skip to the end. What have I been up to?
Yeah.
So much.
Well, first of all, why don't you give us a background on what you do, where you live, who you are?
I live in Nashville. Graduated from UNA.
In what? What did you get from UNA?
It was technically communications. It was before they had the entertainment industry department.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was basically for engineering.
Audio engineering or civil
audio
engineering?
Audio engineering, yeah. That and so I learned I had to go through the communication stuff so I could also work at a TV station or something like that because I had to do all the journalism stuff and all that. I've been in Nashville. I moved here to be in a band and get famous.
How did that work out for you?
Not good. Not good. Turns out I should have stayed at home and tried to be in a band. Because everybody moves to Nashville to be in a band. But since it's Music City, we all figured, hey, that's the place to go.
Yeah. And, I mean, it is in the name, you know.
But, I mean, nobody cares. Because there's a million people here trying to do the same thing. So after that, and all my hopes and dreams died, I just started to actually find a career, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
So
it's one I didn't want, but I'm a general manager of Papa John's.
Yeah, PJ's, my man.
Obviously a racist pizza establishment.
Well,
do you run one of the racist Papa John's, or is that just the one?
Man,
I think that's just old pops, man. He's
that that is a completely different thing that I cannot say on air. All I can say is that everything you've heard is wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, sorry.
Okay.
But
Podcast is not the place for jokes. Everybody.
okay, well,
Okay.
I'm just no, we're not racist. But so that's what I'm doing now because I'm in a lot of debt and I have to pay bills, and it's a job that I've had since I've been at UNA. I just moved up the ladder.
Well, that's cool, man. Um, so you back a couple years ago, you were telling me this a few a few weeks ago when we first were talking about what you're gonna do for the website. By the way, Matt does blog for Kind of Coaches. He submitted his first blog a couple nights ago. I read through it. It's pretty good stuff. Needs some polishing up, but we're gonna post it. Probably gonna be on the website in a couple days. Guys, be looking out for that. Um, so you ran a podcast a couple years ago. Tell us what that was about. Tell us what was good about it, what was bad about it. If you guys had any success with it, just give us a little about that.
Well, we started it before podcasts were like it was like kind of right when podcasts first started.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody listens to podcasts.
Yeah.
When we started it, it was hard to like it was hard to reach out to people and get people to listen to it because nobody knew really what podcasts were.
Wait, you just talk for hours? Sounds
Yeah, I
horrible.
mean,
Yeah.
it was before the hype. So I mean, I still say we had success because we had, I mean, tens of thousands of listens in the end.
Really.
But it was we were too early on it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
When people didn't know how, like I would promote it on Facebook and stuff like that, and we'd have our friends that really cared dive into it. But I mean,
So,
every once in a while, even still now, I'll get a email that says I need to upgrade my space and pay more money
yeah.
because it just randomly spikes.
So what was you guys' topic? Like what did you guys talk about most on your podcast? And what was it called? Like what was your podcast called and what did y'all talk about?
It was called the Wolfpack Show.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Killer name. Bet you
yeah,
wish you could list that. I bet there's like 1,000 Wolfpack Show podcasts
it's
now.
on iTunes still.
Mm.
You can search it. But yeah, I mean, we got it from The Hangover, the movie.
Yeah.
When he does
Obviously.
that Wolfpack speech. So that's in the intro of every podcast. Is
Oh man.
that
Did you guys run into any like trademarking with that or did you guys just not care?
I mean, nobody approached us about it. I mean, I
Okay.
don't know if they could have figured out a way how to, but no. I mean, we just every one of our podcasts started with that. Then like we had a big old fancy intro with like sound effects and stuff, and then we'd pick our favorite movie quotes and put different ones in each episode. But it,
Did you make that yourself or did somebody else make it?
I did all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was basically about what dudes talk about just when we're sitting in the living room hanging out. So that's exactly what we did. We didn't film it, but so we would basically just sit in the living room on the couches, the chairs with microphones, and talk about what dudes would normally talk about. Coincidentally, sports. So it was mostly about sports, and then we would kind of get into some other weird stuff like hot topics of the day or things that made us mad or
So y'all talked about Hot Topic like the store or
well, actually, I think that did come up one time because Chris's mom was afraid to go in whenever he
she
wanted
should
to go
be.
in.
That's a wise lady.
So yeah, I mean, it was just like just current events and stuff like that, but mostly sports. But I guess the general premise of it was just when there's four dudes sitting around in the living room, what are you guys talking about?
Mm.
We just talked, and it took a while to kind of figure out how to do that without just sounding like we're just blabbering.
Yeah. So that's an interesting idea because that's kind of what this podcast is about, except not really. We usually we try to base this topic off of like um two guys try to start a business together, and um, so yeah, that's what we're doing. Blake, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the direction of our podcast is almost like that's the whole point, is that there is no direction yet. We're still kind of trying to find it. Uh,
Yeah, we need to get on that.
yeah, man, it's one of these days we're gonna need a direction to go in, I guess. But we do have, generally there's like a topic that we want to do. I mean, this is only the third episode, so like, I wanted to talk about the podcast that you did, and kind of how that went, and what kind of advice you might bring to someone like us who wants to start a podcast, or someone else out there who wants to start a podcast. And just talk about, the art of podcasting, because it is, I mean, now today, not only is everyone listening to podcasts, but like everyone has a podcast now too. We're late to the game, in regard to that.
Very.
Like everybody's got a podcast for everything you can imagine. I didn't really start listening to them until, I mean, I guess about a year I've been listening to podcasts. Like when I started like running the restaurant, and I just let the guys in the kitchen play whatever they want over the speakers, and one of them is like a diehard Joe Rogan Experience fan, and so that was what was playing 5 days a week in the kitchen at Pie Factory, was whatever the latest episode of Joe Rogan was. So that was kind of my introduction to podcasts, as I imagine it's the introduction for a lot of people, because his podcast is probably the largest like media on earth right
Yeah.
now.
So podcasting is also big in marketing right now, as far as content creation goes, especially if you're trying to promote like a product or a brand or something like that. Podcasting goes a long way. You see it especially like big companies, like they have a blog and they have a podcast. If you want to promote a product, then you have to blog about it and you have to podcast about it. Video content is also really big right now. So just it's a it's competitive, but also there's a billion listeners out there, so there's a lot of market share that goes into podcasting. And as we go and as we grow, right now we have 5 viewers on Twitch, so that's three more than we had last week. So as we grow and
Growing, baby.
as we build this thing, we'll upgrade our equipment and we'll get a streamlined uh, way to do it, and that'll
We'll
be that.
start at 7 instead of 7:45.
And there will be a
My cat will stop. Oh, she's about to knock the camera over. I can feel it. She's right here.
Yeah, I've played a show in front of two people, so
podcast.
Nice. Podcast.
Hey,
and they accidentally walked in and just felt obligated to stay because they were like, "Oh, nobody's here, and there's a band playing, so we have to stay."
I've definitely had some of those, man. Dude, we played. All right, so I used to be in a band too.
I know.
Yeah, I think you came to probably every show that I played.
Yeah,
There
I
was
was in the band.
we played. Wait,
Yeah, I got kicked out.
but was that before me?
That was before you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I got replaced because
Oh, I remember that.
yeah,
I think. I mean, it was before me, so I don't
it was
remember
kind of
it.
a
But
really
I remember.
weird thing where nobody told
here.
me because they wanted to use my equipment.
That's right. I remember you telling us this story now. Yeah, that like it was. I don't know. Like those breakups you had in middle school that weren't like you just stopped talking to each other. Like we're all still probably dating someone that we knew in 5th grade, but we just never really talked about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that. But I was in a couple of groups. The one like that group, we just always played at Smokehouse, and there was always a bunch of drunk people playing pool there. But I had another band called Doodlebot when I was in college, and we play. I mean, we played.
Cameron, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of our shows were pretty good. We did some house party stuff and some kind of like spur of the moment, like surprise we're playing here. But we played some. Did you ever go to? There's a place. It was in Tuscumbia or Sheffield or something. Some hole in the wall dive place, like JD's or something like that.
Yeah, I used to go there with Jason Isbell all the time. when I
Yeah.
worked at the bank. Yeah,
Name
we hung out
drop.
there all the time. I didn't mean to do that actually. But no, me
Or
the
maybe it
fame
wasn't.
that was like the Fame Cruise spot. That's where we would go.
Maybe it wasn't JD's. I don't remember which one, but I don't know. It was definitely we had no business playing there. I remember that. Uh, but yeah, there were. I think there were some people like there was this massive dance floor in front of the stage, and no one was dancing. All the tables were at least like 50 feet to 100 feet away from the stage, and that's where everyone was sitting. So it felt like we were playing to absolutely no one. You could barely see anyone, but that's all right. They were fun. We did play some shows where a lot of old people were there. It might have been that one. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I'm going to mute it.
Mm.
It's Courtney's family.
I could get into some weird shows, but I feel like that's not what this podcast is about.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we'll
But
next
actually,
time.
that's
Next
kind of
time you
part of
come on. Next
that's
time
kind
you
of
come
part of
on,
my
we'll talk
advice
about
though for podcasts. But
Yeah.
Let it.
I wait
let it
until
go.
I'm asked something.
Okay, so going back to the topic of teaching us how to do a podcast while live doing a podcast, what is a couple tips that you would give to up and coming podcasters?
First, have
Do's
fun.
and do's and don'ts, if you would. Well,
Do's, have
we,
fun.
we could check that off a box because we have a ton of fun every time we do it. Ain't
Right.
that right, buddy?
But if
Yeah.
it, and I guess too, going along with that is uh, have structure, but don't rely on structure. So
Yeah, we're already way
basically,
off the outline.
it's okay to go on tangents, but it's when people feel like you're having fun, and when people feel like they're more involved in it. Like one of my favorite podcasts is Pete Holmes' podcast. You Made It Weird,
Yeah,
and
that Pete Holmes is hilarious.
I didn't really like him until I listened to his podcast, and
Mhm.
it's just he just generally just they have fun and it's genuine, and it's just they go off on tangents, and he will ask a question and it won't get answered, but they'll spend 45 minutes talking about something else just because it's just two people hanging out, in this case three people hanging out. It's just people hanging out and talking, and if it feels genuine, people are more inclined to listen. If it feels like it's something structured where you're like, well, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do that, then people are just like, oh, this is just another podcast with an agenda or something like that.
Yeah, that kind of. I was thinking about something the other day. I started listen, or I tried to listen to. There's a really popular podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire.
I love that podcast. I was the one that
I
recommended you.
hated it.
Yeah, well,
I hated
we
it
we
because
hate
it's
you.
one because if I had to hear that guy say or excuse me,
Yeah,
Fire Nation.
yeah.
one more time, I was gonna throw something out of my window. But also, it's just like that thing. There is a word for word script of that podcast somewhere on a Google Drive, and it gets read every single time. And like it was just, oh, it was awful. I couldn't
That,
stand listening to it.
that guy has a huge following in the
I
business.
know it's incredibly popular, and I could not stand to make it through 20 minutes of it.
Mm.
I just recommend like actually writing stuff as you go.
Yeah,
So like if you go off on a tangent, you can go back and be like, oh, this is what we were talking about. But like I think tangents are awesome. Like most of the best conversations I've ever had have been just completely random because something reminded me of something. And that's what people like to listen to.
what podcast do you like to listen to, or do you have some that you listen to on a regular basis?
I mean, You Made It Weird is my favorite one. I've listened to every single episode, and there's, I mean, I think maybe 400 of them now, and they're all 3 hours long. And
Hell
I
yeah.
listen to all 3 hours, even if it's somebody I don't know. Um, I mean, I listen to Joe Rogan's every once in a while. Um,
I do find myself listening to him less and less the more I add to my podcasts, I guess the more, well, really honest, I guess it's the more I find like things that are just really specifically interesting to me, and I start adding them to the podcast I listen to. I listen to him less and less, but I always like to have it there. And whenever he has usually if he has a comedian on, I'm listening to it because it's usually really funny.
yeah,
Uh,
I kind of scroll through and see if there's somebody I like. Chris Hardwick has a good one, ID10T. It used to be Nerdist, and then they
yeah,
moved. Chris Hardwick's is very good. And then I mean, I listen to science stuff too a lot, just because that's who I am. Star
I
Talk.
really
Neil
I
deGrasse
really
Tyson.
I really like business podcasts and that's because that's what I'm into right now is like trying to grow businesses and I just like to hear how people have done it and what they're doing right now and so I decided to make my own podcast like that and um, model it in a completely different way because that's the product that I'm putting out right now is something that kind of takes that uh, we're trying to start a business, but we're doing it in a totally different way than everybody else kind of model. So that's what our brand is about, and that's what our podcast is about
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Think different. Trademark kindofcoaches.com. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Hey,
Kindofcoaches.com.
not really. Don't come after us, Nike.
This podcast is sponsored by Coke Zero. No, it's not.
Oh man. Okay, so Blake, you can continue on your outline now. Oh, you didn't say any don'ts. Like, what would you not do, Matt, when starting a podcast?
Uh, hmm. Well, man, I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but I guess don't be afraid to go away from the outline. Don't be afraid to talk about things or do something that's not part of the agenda, I guess. Like
Mm.
some of the most entertaining things I've ever heard, even in science podcasts, is when they go off and start talking about something that has nothing to do with it. Don't be afraid of being real. Don't feel like you're on here just to like get a message out or promote a
Yeah.
business or something like that. Just talk with your friends.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things, and one of a lot of people's favorite things about podcasts is it's just a conversation, and I guess you try to make it an interesting conversation. You try to talk about topics that people are going to find interesting, and you try to be an interesting person, but it's just a conversation, and people love it, man. I love it.
So
I don't.
don't try to not make it just a normal conversation. Try to make it a
Yeah.
normal conversation. Like don't pretend you're recording it or being live streamed or anything like that. Just
Oh,
act like,
you're about to hear my dog bark really loud, by the way.
oh, that's
Don't you,
fine.
don't you
That's
dare.
part of it.
Don't
That's
you
part of it.
dare.
Like what I'm saying is don't pretend like we're being recorded or being like live streamed or anything like that. Just
He's got his bark face on right now. He's about to do it.
it's just us four right now talking. So don't pretend that anything else is happening.
Us four. Who's the other?
Well, Courtney's
Oh.
in the background.
Well,
She's
she's
not
not talking
talking,
though.
but she's there. She's there.
Always here.
So I mean I guess that's a do and that's a don't. Like just like we're just having a conversation. That's the biggest point I could make is make it entertaining by doing that because people want genuine conversations. I see something blinking in your face.
It's his microphone, I think.
Oh yeah, it is mine. I adjusted it and now it's blinking in my face. Hold on.
Oh, that's great. That's cool.
way better. Why does my microphone do that? Stupid Amazon. How's that?
That's good. It's
Now my
fine.
shoulder's blinking. God.
Today's podcast, we're covering the topic of being a diva with Taylor Heath.
Oh, okay. um,
So Taylor, you're in Houston now, right?
I am, man.
My best friend is in Houston now.
What's his name and what part of Houston does he live in?
I have no idea what part, but Chris Bertoldi, I don't know if you ever met him.
I thought you were gonna say I have no idea what his
Really?
name was. I was like, hold on, wait.
He's he got a job running like a smoothie factory or something, or like a
Smoothie King?
No, it's a new one. I don't know like what it's called, but he's like in charge of a couple stores now. So he moved down there. You probably met him once.
Why? Oh yeah, I'm sure I've met him before. All right, Blake, you want to move into what we've been working on this week?
Yeah, man. I'll start. I've been working on a bench. That was actually I accidentally built a bench, so you can go check my Instagram right now, and it's on there. I accidentally built a bench. I was trying to build a coffee table, and I started putting it together. I
I'm
started
sorry.
putting it together, and I realized real quickly that it would have been like the world's skinniest, dumbest coffee table. So
Hey, hang on real
I
quick.
pivoted.
There's
I
a
only
guy.
laugh because I know.
There's a guy in chat. I just want to point this out real quick. There's a guy in our Twitch chat, and he says, "Is this a stream that doesn't pay attention to chat?" No, we don't not pay attention to chat, but we're kind of recording a podcast right now, so we don't want to be calling out like chatters. We'd love to call out chatters, but we don't want to ruin it for people that are downloading.
Did anybody ask anything?
Yeah, well, he asked if we were Twitch streamers, and
Oh,
I typed back to. So like, no, we're not going to be interacting with chat while we record the podcast, but
I think
but
that's a
we
bad
are
idea.
we are glad that you are here.
I think that's a bad idea.
You
yeah,
think so?
man. Let's interact.
I think,
We interacted last time a little
like
bit.
I said, you want it to be entertaining, and I know you have an agenda and a purpose for this, but and not like while like when they say it immediately like respond, but I think there should be like every 15 minutes you look and see what people said, and then you answer questions or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Option.
He says it's a terrible idea. If we want to grow the stream, we must pay attention to chat. My argument would be that we're not really trying to grow the stream as much as we're trying to grow the podcast.
True.
And I,
But
I understand that everybody wants to be included, and we want to include everybody, but we also want to provide a good product on iTunes.
that's
so.
true. But for people that aren't on Twitch, sometimes if there's entertaining things, you can read them out, and
Absolutely.
it's still entertaining to them.
I guess if Blake's into doing a lot of audio editing, then we could interact in Twitch and. Oh, he said that we have a nice setup and we should get off of. We should take our stream to just chatting on Twitch. That's something I should do for the next episode. We do have 6 viewers right now, which is pretty cool.
Right
Don't
on.
I
don't
wonder
get
who
to.
they are.
Yeah, it doesn't. This one guy's his name is Oddcast. So, thank you for watching us and everything. Okay, so Blake, you were building a table, and now
Yeah, I was trying to build a coffee table, and it turned into a bench.
Well, where do you put a
Magically.
bench?
Well, we have there's actually a spot in the entrance to our house that this bench is going to look super cute in, according to the person in charge of deciding what things look cute in places.
And not one person is ever going to sit on it.
No, the cats probably
That's
will.
what it's
Yeah.
for. That's what it's
It's
for.
a cat bench. It is thoroughly a cat bench, but it's up on Instagram right now at MB Lankford 256. Soon changing the name. This is how we do professional name dropping right here. We put it on a piece of paper and then I hold it in front of the camera.
Definitely don't follow me on Instagram or Twitter.
Oh, there's Grizzly.
Hey, pod dog, podcat,
Hot
come
dog.
here. You got anything you want to say, Boats?
Oh, so okay. Here's an interesting question that we have in chat. The Oddcast says, when it comes to trolls, where y'all draw the line? For instance, if I donated $3 to the stream but called y'all a bad word, would you continue to accept the $3 of donations along with the bad word? My answer to that is absolutely. You can give me your money, and I will accept your money. And
I mean, I do that every day in the form of running a pizza store.
if you
Yeah,
call me
man.
a bad
Yeah.
word,
People
and it
cuss me
pisses-
out all the time.
If you call me a bad
work
word,
in
and
the
it
service industry at all, you're gonna get called all kinds of names, and you're gonna smile, and you're gonna say, "I'm glad I could help you today."
I,
I'm not going to do that.
Well,
think-
I am. I have to.
The thing about it is, I don't have any donation or any tip alert set up, so I don't know if you donate any money to me or not. Second of all, if you piss me off when you call me a bad word, then I'm just gonna probably ban you and still take your money. So, I don't care if you call me a bad word. I don't have a fragile ego. And Blake, what about you? Do you have a fragile ego?
I I mean, say what you will about the tenets of National Socialism. Pacifism, dude, is not an ethos.
Matt, what about you? Do you have a fragile ego?
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. No, I mean, it. I mean, it depends who says it. If it's just a random
Podcast.
stranger or a customer or someone like that, then I don't care at all what people say about me. But I mean, people closer to being friends, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But
Cool.
not like random strangers.
All right, so let's pivot back to Blake. What we've been working on for this week. So this week, wait, I'll go last. Let me go last. Matt, what have you been doing this week? You got any kind of special announcements or
Nothing special. I mean,
what's
just
going on in the pizza world? By the way, both of these guys are um, managers of pizza stores. If you wanted to know.
we've been getting our butts kicked. That's
Yeah, dude.
and
Has it been okay? So I have to look at all the profits and losses and everything for our store and like comparing them to last year, and it's like
comp sales.
oh, I have plenty of those to look at too. But like it seems like from the week after Christmas for us was like slammed crazy insane, and then like January takes like a hard drop off for us, and then it's just like a steady climb all the way up to summer. Is that how it goes for you guys?
Yes and no. I mean, my particular delivery area. Do you deliver, or is it just
We do like corporate like catering kind of stuff, but we don't.
like DoorDash and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
we do have that. Yeah, we have two companies, Grub South and Shoals Takeout.
Okay.
But like
But you don't have
we
like
like
in-house drivers?
I will take deliveries to like we do a lot of work with a big like metal fabrication plant in Muscle Shoals, and so they'll call in like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of food, and I'll drive it over there. But other than that, no, we don't have any in-house delivery guys.
Well, I mean, delivering is way different when that's mainly what you do.
Oh yeah, just to be clear, so our two pizza restaurants are very different. Like so as different as anything, uh, ours is a lot more geared towards like people coming in and sitting down and the
We don't even have
experience,
a lobby other
all
than
that.
people coming
Yeah.
in to pick it up. But I mean, with our store, it's been busy because it's been raining for
Oh
a month,
yeah. Yeah.
and we almost flooded here the other day again. Like,
Uh,
I mean, it wasn't as bad as the 2010 flood, but it was the Cumberland was like up, like it was on ground level. So when it rains, people order pizza.
okay, so we got a question in chat. The guy says, Oddcast, he says each of y'all are using XLR mics. How much y'all invest in mic cables? Is the Mogami cable that important? My answer to that is this mic right here that I'm talking on is a $30 microphone off of Amazon.
Is he talking
Um,
about the cables or is he talking about the mics?
he says the cables. He says,
Cables
is
don't
the
matter.
Mogami cable that important?
Cables don't matter at all.
Yeah,
They
you would
literally don't.
definitely. Yeah, Matt's definitely the right person to ask that question to. I will say, like, I am talking on an XLR microphone and all that, but just in case anyone, if you're out there thinking about starting a podcast and want to know more about the equipment side of it, I bought two of these microphones, two boom arms, two pop screens that I'm not using, two wind filters, and a Focusrite Scarlett. It's the
Ooh, that's
two
a good one.
input. Yeah, two input audio interface. I bought all that for $80 on Craigslist. And I could sell one of these microphones for almost that much if I wanted to. But so I'm not saying your results will be that. But take a look out there if you're looking for good audio equipment. Go look on Craigslist. Look on Facebook Marketplace for sure.
I will post some links in the show notes to some Amazon products if you're looking to get set up in podcasting.
But yeah, if you can't find anything there and you want to get out for as cost effective as possible, that microphone that Taylor's using is very cheap and it's very
Look at my
inexpensive.
dog right now.
I can't
I,
see him.
to
Skype has
add
cropped him out.
to add what I think he might have been asking, um, the kind of cable you use, like they sell like instrument cables and XLR cables, like the Monster brand, complete crap. Like it's no better. So I
What about
use
durability? Is there any difference in there?
I think Monster is like lifetime guaranteed, but you're also paying $60 for a cable or something
Which I
stupid
guess, I
like
mean,
that.
in a podcast setting, it's not, because this cable never moves,
Right.
except for me putting
So
my mic away. It's a
I
little bit
have
different from like a live performance kind
I
of
have
thing.
30 mic cables here that I need, XLRs. So in my opinion, I'd rather just spend $9 on them, and then they break once every couple months, and then I buy a new one, rather than having to deal with the guarantees and the take backs and all that stuff. Because when it comes to sound quality, all that matters is that the wires are connected.
Right.
Nothing on the inside matters. So in terms of XLRs, I go with the cheapest ones.
All right, so let me just point this out to you guys. My mother is trying to get to where she can watch this Twitch stream. So the first thing that happened, she knows we're recording a podcast right now. The first thing that happened was obviously she called me. Number one, she had some questions, so she called me. So she wants to know. She texted me afterward and said, "How can I listen to the podcast?" And I texted her back the link, and I said twitch.tv/kind of coaches. She says, "Okay, why can't all this while we're recording a podcast?" She says, "I can't hear you," and I'm trying to troubleshoot my mom into being able to listen to our podcast while my dog is taking a bath right now, and my mom is texting me, and we're trying to record a podcast at the same time. So. If you guys were wondering what was going on in my corner of the podcast, that is what's happening.
So anyway, this week, uh, I mean, no, it's been crazy because of the rain, but also like my particular area is probably the weirdest area around. I have 60 hotels. They're building like four more, plus the airport, plus Opry Mills Mall, plus Opry Land, and so it's not like I mean there is a trend, but it's like the difference between weather and climate. Like there's just it you just don't know. It's busy all day every day because I also have like a million call centers here too. Like Comcast is here, Assurion. There's just a bunch of call centers, so like there's no predictability in it, and that's what makes it hard.
Mm.
So in a week where you're supposed to be projected to do $20,000 like last week, we did 25. That's a lot. That's a big difference, especially when it comes to like ordering stuff and doing stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
So
I'm just trying
you
to.
do the food ordering there?
I do everything.
Oh yeah.
I literally do everything. I do the scheduling. I do the food. I have to actually work as a like. I do everything. It's
Oh,
the
I
way that
understand.
the way that they do it.
Completely.
The way that they do it is not how it's supposed to be, but it's what they have to do
Right.
for the moment.
That's a great topic for a future podcast. Like it's not being what it's supposed to be, but what you have. I got to word it better, but it's not what it's supposed to be, but it's what it has to be. Something in there.
Because I mean,
that's gonna go in the good idea folder, I think, as well. We have a stack of a couple sheets of paper with the good ideas, don't we, Blake?
Oh yeah, dude. I got notebooks. I got binders full of ideas.
I mean, the way that it's supposed to be is I'm supposed to be like 60% operations, 40% production, like where I'm actually out making pizzas, doing all that stuff. Right now, it's about 70% production and 0% operation because I'm just always in production.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ironic part of that is like that's almost sure ideally like as a manager and especially as managers who run the whole store, like we're not supposed to be like in the trench. Ideally we're not supposed to do that, but if that's how business was going and that I could just sit back and let the restaurant do its thing, then we'd be going out of business because we wouldn't be busy enough.
Yep.
Because the whole goal is like you want to be so busy and making so much money that I have to be in there. I'm back there washing dishes. for this restaurant because no one else can, and it's got to get done.
Somebody has to do it. Everybody's like,
Right.
why are you doing this? Well, somebody has to do it.
Got to get done.
But I mean, I guess it's also, are you salary?
No, I'm hourly.
Hourly. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that might be a difference too.
Which is probably a good thing because
I
if
am
I was
salary, so I'm basically free labor.
right.
So if something has to get done or something needs to get done, instead of paying somebody else to do it, I'm expected to do it. So, stuff like that. It's not how it's supposed to be.
I'm hourly, but I mean, some of it is treated kind of like a salary position. Like it when there's a problem, like I am the first one that's supposed to be there to fix it. Like if I fire somebody, I'm the first person that has to come in and cover that shift, whether it's my first day off in 3 weeks or not. But
So what have you been up to, Blake? Is that where we're going next, or?
No. He built the table. Remember?
yeah,
that was supposed to
accidentally.
be.
Okay.
It was supposed to be a
Oh,
bench.
right.
It was supposed to be a table, and now it's a bench.
I guess. So is it like a really like an unusually tall bench, or is
No.
it just a? So it's a good sized bench. So you just really messed up the table.
No, I really just because I'm still really new at this, and I don't have a good like eye for proportion and dimensions and stuff like that. I don't know. Can you see this? There it is. There it is right there.
Oh yeah, that's not a big enough coffee table.
Right. So I had this. That the top piece of wood on there is something I found in my backyard, and it was all gray and warped and twisted, and it looked like a giant wooden potato chip. And so I had to like sand it and cut it in half to try to relieve some of the tension in the wood and do all this stuff. And that was all. That was my first thought when I saw it. I was like, hey, we need a coffee table. That looks like it might work. And then when I actually started putting the legs onto it, I realized that it would look like a dumb coffee table. Sometimes you got to pivot. Business
exactly.
Sometimes you got to pivot.
Don't we know about that?
Yeah. This company started as tech support for elderly people.
Yeah, now look at it. All right, so
now we're doing a podcast talking about benches.
Okay, so moving on to what I've been doing this week. So this week,
what have you been doing, Taylor? Surely not much of anything.
Yeah, so this week we launched the company, and it went fantastic. We got over 250 Facebook page likes in like a few hours. Most of that was because me and Brian shared it to our entire friends list, and it was awesome. We had such a great time. So, actually, today, we've been profiling our partners kind of this entire week and posting their first blog posts and their bios and stuff like that. And our blog editor himself missed his deadline for his first blog. So we did not profile him today. It is the most on-brand thing that has ever happened to us. A bunch of dudes that don't know what they're doing, trying to start a business, and their blog editor misses the mark completely. So it went well. We're still going strong. I've got a blog going out tomorrow that's going to be, I'm not going to tease it or anything, but just go like us on Facebook. Go follow us on Twitter. We're getting our Instagram going right now. It has been pointed out to me that our graphics look kind of thrown together, and my argument for that would be that we are kind of thrown together to begin with. So, whatever. I'm having some graphic design done for us right now. As you can see, this logo right here looks fantastic, and so that's what's been happening in my world this week. Is answering emails to a lot of happy people that think what we're doing is fantastic, and I was very happy to hear about that. I've gotten a few emails from people that have subscribed to the website about how genuine they think our writing is, and just all kind of stuff. So really, I'm trying to get the content out there. If our blog editor could get it together, that would be great. His name is Matt Wilson. He was on the first episode. If you remember him, Go to his Facebook and tell him how bad he is at his job. So yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. It's been a wild ride so far. Hopefully it continues to grow. Our podcast viewership on Twitch has gone up 100% this week. So
Wait, how many viewers do we
2 out
have?
of 5.
no, we had 9 at one point. Now we're at 5.
Oh man, 4 people gave up on us.
Well, people got stuff to do, man, and we've been talking about pizzas for 30 minutes.
People have a lot of stuff to do.
Pizza and benches.
Yeah. This is the first episode of Pod Pets this week, so
Pod pets.
yeah. So that's what I've been up to this week. It's been a wild week. For the first time in 2 years, I actually took a nap today, and that's why my hair's messed up. It's because I just woke up from a nap before we went live today. So that nap was fantastic. It was a much needed nap, and
I used to be a professional nap taker.
Dude, I've
I
never
can't
been
do it
into
anymore.
naps.
If I take a nap now, I just don't wake up until the morning.
yeah, it's called going to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 in the afternoon.
It's like, oh, I just took a 16-hour nap. Well, that's great. I've never been good at taking naps, man. I've never been one to do it. I don't get it.
Oh,
I'm
I'm really
I'm just
good
too
at it.
stressed out now, and then when I finally get over that, I'm just out.
Yeah.
I used to be able to just kind of
Yeah, you remember in
Sleep.
college? In college, when we get done with 8 o'clock rehearsal, we go back to
Roll
your house and
around.
all take naps. We'd call it roll around time.
oh yeah, I remember that.
Now
I still do
That
that.
sounds a
I
lot
still
worse
do
than
that.
what it was, but roll around
Just a
time
bunch
sounds
of
kind of
just
weird.
a bunch of guys in a living room
Rolling around.
rolling around.
My mom just texted me and said, "Don't say a cuss word."
This is a family show, Ma.
I'm gonna have her on one week.
You should. It'd be a great idea. Stuff like that is good. If that's why I'm on here, to promote stuff like that.
You're here to tell us what to do because we don't know.
All right, what's next on the outline?
Yeah, what's next?
Well, it kind of got shuffled around a little bit, but I guess me talking about the future of the podcast a little bit and the state of the podcast.
Well, let's first of all, what did you think about the launch? You got any thoughts on if we should be doing anything better? Is there anything you see that
Me?
I could be personally doing, or no, Blake?
Oh.
Oh.
But then I'm going to use this chance to say, be right back. Y'all can talk.
Well, honestly, so I had to work this entire week. I've been at work for like a week and a half straight without really getting much of a break, unfortunately.
Hang on, my mom's in Twitch chat right now, so.
Oh man, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mom. By the way, don't go too far into Twitch. Maybe just hang out in this channel for now. Don't go into too many Twitch chats.
There's some dark places out there.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is a good one for you.
so honestly, the launch almost just kind of like flew by me because
Yeah,
I spent
say
most
so,
of
buddy.
the time I was like at work running around trying to take care of everything, at the restaurant. So it wasn't until last night, I think, that I finally I was just sitting there with nothing to do, and I got my phone out. And let me tell you about my daily usage of Facebook. I get on in the morning and I go to the marketplace section and I look at every single item in the home and garden section. And then I close Facebook because I'm at work and I shouldn't be looking at Facebook at work. And then I open it up again at like 9:30 p.m. and I do the exact same thing and I look at everything in the home and garden section, especially tools. And that is pretty much the extent of my Facebook usage. So yesterday, I think it was, I sat down and for whatever reason, I clicked on timeline review. Man, that was like the hardest work I've done in a long time, is sitting there clicking add to timeline on just, there was like 8 kind of coaches posts, and then about 120 pictures that her mom took at various different events that apparently there were pictures being taken at. I didn't even know. There was still stuff all the way back from our wedding that I hadn't gotten around to clicking like, yeah, that's fine. Put it on my timeline.
I just butt dialed my mom live on a podcast. This is great.
Probably professional.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the launch kind of, I mean, it flew by, and but I was glad to see that it was happening and that it was going well, and that I was going to get to it at some point.
The day that you were featured on the blog, like you were utterly nowhere to be found.
Yep. Nope. Just
It was really ironic because like your featured blog was your 5 reasons to not answer your emails,
five
and I
valid
could
excuses
not
for
get
not
in
answering
touch with
emails.
you to save my life.
Exactly. That's why it's so great, man. It's so meta.
So appropriate. Oh man, on brand, baby. Oh,
Kind of.
yeah. So wait, where were we going after this?
I was going to talk about the state of the podcast and all that.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and say that.
So let's see. This is our second time live streaming to Twitch. I really like live streaming to Twitch. I think it's cool.
I think it's great.
I do think we should. I think we are going to start interacting with the chat a little bit more. I need to get it to where I can have the chat open. I guess that
Yeah.
means I have to.
You can just go to Twitch. I was going to tell you to do that too
Oh.
because my mom's trying to talk to you and
Oh, I got to mute it so I don't get double audio.
Yeah, you got to turn it down. I actually want to do that too, just for fun.
yeah, you could do it to abuse the viewership. Anyway, so there's not any dead air.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody that's watching Twitch right now, what have you guys been up to? My mom says hi, Blake's wife. Her name's Courtney, by the way.
Hi, Blake's wife.
Oh, there we are. Oh, there's an ad.
Is there an ad? Do I get any revenue for that ad, or
I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
Is that something that I agreed to in the terms of service, or I need to see some ad revenue from that? What kind of ad was that? Who I need to call about that? Xfinity?
All right, I'm going to post in chat just so anyone knows. My name on Twitch is Many Plays, which is a long story I'm not going to tell right now.
I'm not on Twitch, so I guess I can't see the chat. I can just see the video that's very delayed.
Hello, Blake.
Maybe I should join it.
I think if we get 5 viewers chatting in chat at the same time, then we get like some kind of
Oh wait, I see something now. Maybe it's just because I wasn't there.
we get
Oh,
some
yeah, okay.
kind of achievement or something, and that's one of the things about gaining affiliateship is having that achievement. Anyway, so that's a little behind the scenes action. But yeah, so the state of the podcast being that we have 10 viewers right now. We're getting a lot of action, or a relative amount of action on Twitch, which is awesome because every time I've tried to stream on Twitch, I've streamed to 0 viewers, and so actually getting some traction on a channel somewhere is pretty great.
Yeah, and we honestly have not promoted the podcast really. I mean, we just now tonight sent out tweets about it, each of us personally on our own accounts, and I don't know if that's boosted any of it or not, but we haven't really promoted it. We haven't even released the podcast audio and video yet. But we're just live streaming it for just to kind of a window into building this podcast.
Anybody that's watching right now, be sure to go hit the follow button. Go follow us on Twitter, here on Twitch, on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We're everywhere, man. Just at Kind of Coaches, basically everywhere. We're a company that's just now starting, and we don't really know what we are right now, but we know we're having fun doing it. So, by the way, kind of the website that Probably Professionals is brought to you by is called kindofcoaches.com. We offer coaching and advice to people that really need it, but are little checkbox, little asterisk there by the name is that we're not certified or qualified in any way, shape, or form to be giving any kind of advice. So, take that as you will. You can uh, choose to take our advice if you want to. Ice Trey, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for the follow, buddy. Uh, so anyway, yeah, that's a little about the podcast and about the
Your mom.
um. Yeah. So that's where we are. We're gonna do some segments, Blake.
Yeah, I did just want to say before we get to segments that we are we're going to start rolling out each episode of the podcast one by one at the end of this week, and I do want to get to the point we're gonna we kind of wanted to build up a little stack of podcasts so that we can get them out there and
Mhm.
have plenty of time to make all the mistakes that we've undoubtedly made.
Yeah, or are making right now.
And we're gonna work towards kind of even like leveling everything out so that we're going to record and live stream a podcast on whatever day. I guess Mondays is what we've been doing on Monday, and then release the podcast on Tuesday. So there's a quick turnaround, and because we're talking about stuff by the time this podcast actually gets released, it's going to be 3 weeks old. So
Well, we
um,
might. I've actually been thinking about just releasing all three podcasts at the same time.
yeah, we probably should do that
Yeah,
at this point. Um,
just so our user base will have a library of stuff to listen to if they find it enjoyable.
all right, so for those people who are new to checking us out, I can't speak for Matt, but I know Taylor and I are big fans of a podcast called Pardon My Take, which is a production of Barstool Sports, and they like to do this little thing called segments, and we like to do this little thing called stealing things that we think are cool. So
We
we've
do.
been trying to come up
Oh
with
yeah.
we've been trying to come up with some cool segment ideas, and we had the best idea we had was that we were going to do improv segments where we just make up one on the spot, and so we've been doing that as a way to come up with segment ideas. And I
the
came up with
the first week it was hot names.
hot names where
So that
we
was so funny.
we tried we came up with names for that just when you hear that name it's like this person is attractive, like they can't not be
Okay,
attractive when
so
they were attached
in
to that
terms
name.
of being a successful podcast, like I know that you're trying to promote things, but more of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's I
that's,
mean that's the most fun I had
but
on
you
the
got to
whole
mix it in
podcast.
and not
That
wait till the end to do it. Just like different certain things. Just have fun,
Yeah.
and
Well, we
that sounds awesome. The hot names thing.
yeah. So the deal was is we kind of went a little long on our like what have we been doing and talking about you teaching us about podcasting. So I mean, which is fine. Like we've had fun. So first off, hot names. That was week one. We said names we just thought was attractive. Week two, we did desktop product reviews, and I reviewed this Topo Chico bottle that's still on my desk from last week that I need to throw away. Courtney reviewed that Jimbei or whatever,
Doombeck.
Doombeck on Blaze's desk. But Matt, do you have a hot name or a desktop product review that you want to get out there?
What's a desktop product review?
It's where you take an item on your desk and you do a product review about it. He's looking. He's looking right now.
Or
He's
you could
got
give us a
something.
hot name.
I mean,
This guy's on something.
just like pick something and then
Yeah, and then you're gonna do a product review about it with like that owl behind you.
well, that's from my grandma. It's actually a candle.
No way. That thing's made out of wax.
Yeah, I mean it's got a wick on it and everything. I don't know if you can see it, but
Man, that'd be awesome if we
no,
could
my grandma gave it to us.
lighting that thing.
All right, now I'm throwing everything everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, before he does his product review, good update is you can go follow us on YouTube now because Google finally let us have a YouTube account. Woo! Yeah, we're not in the doghouse. As
All
far
right.
as Google accounts go. By the way, so go follow us on YouTube, Kind of Coaches. I'll get you guys a link. Go ahead, Matt.
Product review. First thing I saw, the best guitar pick of all time.
Dunlop.
The Tortex picks, specifically 60 millimeters, is the best for flexibility.
Give it a flick. Give it a flick into the microphone. Man, that sounded good.
It bends, not breaks, but it bends just enough, but not too much, to where you can get the satisfactory sound out of every single string.
Okay.
Give us out of 10. What you got?
Man, this is an 11.
Ice Tray 72 says to create a made-up sponsor for every episode.
I turned this up to 11. This is I never use another guitar pick. Like if I need one, and somebody's like, "Oh, hey, I got one," I'll be like, "No, I'm fine. I'll just use my fingers." This is the only thing I use, and I buy them by like the huge packs of multiple of them because it's like pens or anything, you just lose all of them immediately. So I just buy them in grosses.
Blake, you got that was good, man. Matt, by the way, do you have a star, like 10 out of 10 stars for that pick? Is there anything
He
you
said
don't like
11.
About it?
I turned it up to 11.
Okay. So you don't. There's nothing that you don't like about that pick.
Oh no, it's absolutely perfect. I would never pick anything else.
I get it.
Yeah. Pun intended. That's the first thing I saw on my desk.
Do you have any hot?
That was good. That was a good one.
Do you have any hot names, Matt? Like, can you think of a name that you just, when you hear that name, you know that person is attractive?
Scarlet.
Nice. That's
Okay.
That's a good hot name.
All right.
Because it's a color. That is hot.
I mean, it's why I think Scarlett Johansson's so attractive, because she's kind of just okay and she's just a decent Hollywood celeb.
But she's got a hot name.
That's fired.
But her name is Scarlett Johansson, which is an incredibly hot name, and that adds a little bit to it.
I agree 100%. All right, Blake.
Yeah.
So what's this week's segment?
Yeah, what's this week's segment?
This week's segment is brought to you by me. It's called Real News in Alabama. We talked on the first episode about our favorite types of fake news, but this is some real news that I pulled off the real internet. So the headline on this article is Alabama newspaper editor steps down after calling for KKK to rise again.
No way. Can you read the first couple of sentences?
I made some.
Can you actually just repeat that again? That headline.
Alabama newspaper editor steps down after calling for KKK to rise again.
What does it say? What newspaper it was?
It does. It was let's see, that's not right. It was like a small town. It wasn't,
It wasn't the Times Daily though.
No.
Man, that would have been hilarious.
Where is it? I don't know where it is now. Oh, ironically, the Democrat Reporter.
What?
I don't know where that's. Where is this out of? Linden, Alabama. I don't even know where that is. I've lived here my whole life. Don't know where it is.
I've heard of it, but I ain't never been there.
Okay, one of some of the comments that he made after he resigned, I guess after he called for the KKK to rise again, was since he didn't own the paper, which apparently he does have partial ownership of it. But anyway, since he doesn't own the paper, I can drink beer and chase women now. They can't run too fast or I can't catch them. This is an 80-year-old man, by the way. 80 years old.
Well, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Let's see. He also made some comments to the person who came in to do his job after him is a 46-year-old African-American woman, which is very strange considering his known ties to the KKK.
It's like the Chappelle Show episode.
He apparently mentioned to her, you know how managing you females are at some point, and made sure that he told her to make sure that she was sweet and to behave.
It's like Mad Men.
His specific words were time for the Ku Klux Klan to night ride again. if we could get the Klan to go up there and clean out DC, we'd all be better off.
Oh man, what?
So that is real news from Alabama.
Oh man, I love it. All right, we're right at an hour and 5, and I'm about to go eat dinner. So we're gonna end it on real news from Alabama. Do you got anything else, Blake, on the outline?
Uh, Next week, we don't have a guest lined up for next week, right? As far as you know.
I guess for next week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get my mom on it, but I'm not making any promises.
Okay, falling short of that extremely interesting idea. We are going to be. I do want to talk about because I had like a 2-hour meeting today with a couple of the sales reps for one of the companies we order all of our food from, and there were certain points in the conversation where I could tell like I was being sold to.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Taylor probably knows that, like you're a salesman. So
Yeah.
I would love to talk about strategies of salesmen for the benefit of other people that are out there trying to sell stuff and how to defend yourself against those strategies. So I think
Yeah.
it would be very interesting to get someone as involved. You are a salesman. I get sold to on a daily basis at the restaurant. I think it'd be a very interesting conversation to have. Strategies of salesmen and how to defend yourself against them.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm
so
gonna
that
have to. I don't want to give away all my secrets.
well, yeah, we don't have to go there, but there were just a couple of little things. I actually kind of I provoked it a little bit of like I
Yeah.
realized what was happening, and I was like, I'm gonna say this thing here, and I'm gonna see how they take it. I'm gonna start talking about something that nobody should care about at all, and I bet these two dudes are gonna act like it's the most interesting thing they've heard in a long time, and that's exactly what happened. But anyway, we'll talk about all the
Yeah.
joys of
We'll talk
salesman.
about that next week. All right, Matt. You got anything you want to add? Where can we find Matt Barnes on the internet if you want to be
I mean,
found?
you don't want to, but Batmarns. It's just my name reversed. Battmarnes. Will pretty much get you on
Where is
everything.
that? That gets you on
Everywhere.
everything: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
I don't know about Facebook. I'm never on it.
Okay.
Twitter, Facebook, yeah. But I mean, everything I post is just complete dumb stuff. It's not like anything like I don't know.
Don't
Maybe
sell yourself too short, man.
some people find it entertaining, but
You're popular enough to be on this podcast, so
That's
take
right.
that.
I want a high achievement.
but I guess if these are my last words, since I was brought on to apparently give podcast advice, I feel like I got ambushed on that one.
I feel like I told you about that.
I think you might have, but when we were talking about the outline before we started, it was not mentioned.
Oh,
Did
sorry.
we
That would
talk
be
about
my
that
fault.
My last advice would be it'll get better in time
Mm.
just by figuring out what you're doing wrong and listening to feedback. That's why I told you to listen to the people talking to you and talking to them. And it just takes time. You're not going to get better until episode 10.
Hmm.
It's going to be the same. I mean, you'll get better gradually, but like you're just not going to feel good until then.
Yeah, and this is all podcast advice from somebody that did not succeed making a podcast. So
This is true.
kind of
It kind of fits our model, doesn't it?
Yep.
fits.
Well, I mean, what do you call succeeding? Because I mean, we have a bunch of strangers that watched it.
I call succeeding.
We didn't make money, but
I call succeeding not only making money but having a strong viewership consistently, and building a community, and also making money.
well, can I shout it out real quick? I
Yeah.
don't even want to. No, it's so dumb.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Plug it. Plug your podcast, dude. Go ahead.
We haven't done it in 5 years, but we used to do one before the podcast days called the Wolfpack Show. You can search it in iTunes,
Absolutely.
and you can actually watch our journey from start to finish. I think we did 9 episodes, and the first like 4 or 5 were just terrible, and then we kind of figured it out. So
Should bring it back.
Yeah,
we
dude,
should-
you
we've-
also make a comeback.
we have been talking about it, but nobody lives here anymore except one of the guys. So we'd have to
Okay.
do the Skype thing. So you're gonna have to teach me how to do all this crazy stuff to
My
to
my
make this
dog
happen.
My dog is seriously about to go crazy. So my name is Taylor Heath. You can find me on Facebook at taylorheath.heath08. You can find me on Twitter at KOC_Hanye, HANYE. You can find me on Instagram at KOC_Hanye. You can find kind of coaching or kind of coaches at www.kindofcoaches.com. You can find us on pretty much every social media at kind of coaches. All that good stuff, man. Go like us, go follow us, go subscribe to us, go share us every chance you get, man. We're trying to build a user base, and we really appreciate any time you would ever go give us a shout out or anything like that. We love you guys. Blake, you go ahead.
You can find me on Twitter at MB Lankford. You can find me on Instagram at MB Lankford256. Sooner or later, I'll be on Instagram as Peck Mountain Design, and I'm probably going to change my Twitter handle as well, but we'll see. Yeah, that this has been episode 3 of Probably Professionals, a podcast brought to you by kindofcoaches.com. Go check out the website; it's live right now. Y'all got anything else?
No.
Thanks for having me on, and next time you want
Thank
to, just
you.
let me know.
Thank you, Matt Barnes, for coming on. I guess we should add that too.
I mean, we talk over text, but I like this better.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. All right. See you guys. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
All right.
We gotta go. It's time to roll. Cross the Newport like a yellow, and she's about to blow. I don't know.